I was just rolling my eyes because I was like, obviously, it just means that when you are feeling some type of way, you just keep counting on the joy of the Lord. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Lokarimi, and I am obviously excited to be back. Now, this conversation of Lordship might probably be all I do for the next couple of videos, because I feel like it has just been the bulk of most of the things that I've been thinking about. So be ready to engage. And so the conversation today is about the joy of the Lord. Now, anyone that knows me, you know that my name is Joy Lokaremia. So one thing I am thrilled about my name is the fact that most of the times when I meet people for the first time and we have a brief conversation, then they ask to know my name, the immediate response is, "Oh, that name suits you." I have had that so many times. You cannot convince me that my life is not joyful. Yeah, but that's besides the point. The point is, this thing for the joy of the Lord is my strength. There was this one day I was just walking up some stairs. I think it was one of those very introspective days, those days where you are like, I really don't know what is going on in my life right now. And for a minute you start catching feelings and wondering, okay, what's all this about? What's happening? How am I supposed to behave or respond in such a situation as this? And such like things. I remember now having that thought, and the thought that came to mind was that the joy of the Lord is my strength. That that was supposed to encourage me, which it did. But before it did, I was like, oh yeah, obviously the joy of the Lord is my strength. What else am I supposed to say? I mean, I am a Christian, so really, some Bible verses, we have used them so popularly in the Christian circle that it has just become lingo. So maybe when you're going through a hard time, someone will just be there and be like, "Hey, the joy of the Lord is your strength," or "Receive peace that surpasses human understanding." But then these are just verses in the Bible that we took and we have memorized them so much, used them so much, that they have become so casual. So I remember that day just almost dismissing that thought, because I was like, yeah. Obviously, the joy of the Lord is my strength. What else can be my strength right now? I don't feel like I am not necessarily cheerful in this moment. I am in my mind and I am stuck in my thoughts. And after having that brief dismissal of that verse that came to mind, that is when I started having a real conversation with God. And this is what he was telling me. What do you think it means for the joy of the Lord to be your strength? In my head, I was just like rolling my eyes. I was just rolling my eyes because I was like, obviously, it just means that when you are feeling some type of way, you just keep counting on the joy of the Lord. There is a joy that the Lord gives and it's just amazing. So because you have that joy, really, you are strong. You can do this. You keep going. And he was like, no, just think deeper. This thought that had come to my mind, it had come soon after I had had that conversation about lordship, where God was just teaching me about Lord being master and what that looks like. And so in this moment, I could just feel in my mind I was just saying back to myself, and obviously it's just God. And in my mind I was just thinking, what can the verse be meaning? Like, why would I be thinking of this verse? Okay, maybe it's because I'm feeling a bit down and this is the verse that will encourage me. But then it feels like there's more. And so I started thinking about it, and this is what came to mind, which is why I'm so excited about sharing this. I just broke down the verse, and it was the joy of the Lord. Now let's just stop at the Lord. We discussed about lordship, and we saw that Lord translates to master more often than not. And so the literal translation would be, the joy of the master is my strength. Now personalize it and make it, the joy of my master is my strength. And let me tell you, my mind was blown. Are you blown yet? Mine was so blown at that moment. I took a pause and I was like, oh my goodness, I have not seen that verse like that before ever. And so I want to blow your mind. Like, I want you to feel that light bulb moment with me, where God is saying, the joy of my master is my strength. This is to mean that I don't need to have joy all the time. It is good that I am joyful. It is good that I rejoice always, because also the Bible says rejoice always, and again I say rejoice. So there is emphasis on choosing joy every day. Choosing joy. There's emphasis on choosing joy over and over and over again. And I get that. But there will be moments in life it doesn't feel right to be joyful. You are in a moment where you're like, I am trying really hard, God, but this is not a cheerful moment. I don't have it in me to be joyful in this moment. And so God was like, yes, I understand that, because guess what? I am a high priest who understands the infirmities. I've been human. I was human for 33 years. So best believe I understand emotions, and I understand how it can be really, really hard to choose joy, especially when you are in seasons where things are not working out how you would hope for them to. And so in this moment, God was letting me in on the fact that the joy of my master, the joy of your master, is the reason for your strength. And if you break it down, it would translate to literally something like this: as long as my master is joyful, as long as my master is pleased, if my master is happy, then I have strength. Then I can keep going. You know, it's that thing for uh you see this phrase that has been coined, happy wife happy life, trying to insinuate that as long as I can keep the wife happy, then my life I'll be happy. So that, but like the God version and the better accurate version, where the joy of my Lord, the joy of my master, when I know that whatever I am doing, the pursuits I'm in, the location I'm in, the choices I'm making, if I know for a fact these things bring joy to my master, then that is my strength. Now, strength does not need to feel nice. You don't always need to feel cheerful for you to be strong. You can be strong even when you're hurting. You can be strong even when you are in a funky mood. Strength can be when joy is hard to access. But it is not that you are completely without joy. Now, this is a very slippery line, so please stick with me. It is not that you just have strength and then you are completely without joy. No, it is that the joy you are having is the joy of pleasing your master. So if you don't have enough joy for yourself, if I cannot afford to be cheerful in this moment, if it is very difficult for me to see the positive, and if it is very, very hard for me to exist in this moment choosing joy, then I can decide to do things that give my master joy. Then I can choose that if this master, this person that I've chosen to call my master, if my master is joyful, then I am joyful and I have strength. Do you see what I mean? And for a moment there, I just stood and I was like, wow, I was in awe. Because in that moment, I felt like I was carrying this load. I felt like I really am trying to stay positive. I'm trying to be cheerful. But whatever this season is, it is a bit too much for me, and I don't have it in me to be cheerful. And then when that moment happened, when that verse clicked, I was like, oh my goodness, this has hit differently. Which means I may continue with my day while being in my funk, while being in a mourning state. Maybe I am mourning, or maybe I am grieving the loss of a loved one, or grieving something. Maybe I am in a season of losing things. I am a season of pain. Whatever the season is like, I can continue moving on without necessarily having joy within myself. But as long as I am making sure that my master has joy, then the joy of my master is enough to go both ways. It is enough to cover my master and to cover me. You see what I mean? Like, if I can continue doing things for God, that He continues to be pleased, He continues to be joyful, then although I may not feel joy within myself, I can rely on the joy that I am giving my master, so that I have strength and then I also have joy. Because here's the thing about human beings: this body can be tricked into feeling better by very, very small things. You see, when you go into the therapy side, the psychology side of things, usually when you're feeling low or when you're feeling down, the sort of advice they give you is, drink water, go outside and bask in the sun, reconnect with your friends, or just step outside and have some human interaction, or eat some vegetables so that you have some greenery that makes you feel like you're fresh and alive again, or just get up and move your body a bit. While these things may feel like they are not necessarily helping in the moment, the reality is this body can be tricked into believing that things are okay. And so it is the same even when you are working. You may be having a very difficult job, and maybe you are not enjoying reporting to work. But then there's the satisfaction that comes with, I have I have checked all my boxes of deliverables for the day, and I have submitted them maybe to my boss, and my boss has said, "Oh wow, this is amazing work. I really really love how you've done this." Now, you may not have initially had joy in your heart. You may not have initially been cheerful. But then the fact that you are able to complete your tasks and you are commended by your boss, it does something to you and it can make you cheerful. And so you continue with the rest of your day feeling like, oh, I'm actually having a good day. It's not that you are having a good day necessarily. Nothing much has changed, only that you have brought joy to your boss. And so that joy has now become your strength. It has also translated to joy for you. Do you see what I mean? You all better be able to see what I mean, because this thing was really, really personal for me. And so in that moment, I remember I had just paused on one of the stairs, and then as I continued to go up, I was just thinking to myself, so really, the burden of being joyful is not on me. Like, if the situation is not allowing me to be joyful, imagine I don't have to force it, I don't have to fake it until I make it. I can choose joy a different way. I can decide, you know what, I'm not feeling good, but what, I'll do one thing that makes my master happy. And if it makes my master happy, then I have strength. And then I'll be joyful because I know my master is happy. Literally, that is all it means. And so I went up the stairs and was like, oh my goodness, I'm going out there and I'm going to check off a couple of things off of my list. And I'll do these things, and I know God is going to be pleased with me. And when He's happy, then really, at least I know I have strength as long as I am doing the thing that makes Him happy. Yeah. But now there's a new layer. The other layer is, it is the joy of the Lord is my strength. So Lord is master, right? And in the previous video, I was helping us understand that when a master gives instructions, they are orders. He is expecting you to do something about them, like do something. I'm not just telling you about it just so you can sit around. A lot of the times when you are interacting with a master, he will just be giving orders and instructions and orders and instructions and commands, and yours as a servant is to keep these commands. Yeah. So this is what I was thinking of. If if you are under instruction by your master, for example, say your master said, I want you to sell this car, or I want you to give away this car to your neighbor next door. That is an order that the master has given. He has said, this car that is barely 1 year old, I want you to just take the key. Actually, no, 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 no. Just drive it to the gas station, fill it up with gas, then bring it home. Now, as you park, I want you to go knock on on the neighbor next door and hand them the keys and just tell them you bless them. No strings attached, nothing. So assuming that is the instruction that your master has given, I've just visualized it and I'm like, oh Lord, that is hard. But assuming that is the order, that is the instruction that your master has given you. Now your position as a servant is to obey and just be like, you know what, my master has said give away the car. It doesn't make sense. It is uncomfortable. This is supposed to be my car. But then, if my master is saying it, this must be an instruction, an order that has been ordered in love. So, guess what? I am going to respond with or respond in obedience. And so you go and give away the car. Now, the reality is it won't feel nice. You might actually need like a week or longer to cry and just be like, God, are you for certain that you want me to give this car away? You might take a minute to just keep asking God, give me another sign. Oh, show me again. If it is true, confirm through someone. Let there be a prophetic word over my life so that I can believe that it is indeed you. But then in all that, it means that as much as you may obey, you won't feel nice about it. You see what I mean? It won't be a happy moment to just be like, oh, hi, here's the car. I'm so excited because, my master told me to give it to you. Don't worry about anything. Actually, the tank is full. You can just drive wherever you want. The insurance is actually renewed. You just move on. It is not as easy to just do that cheerfully. And then the stakes are higher. Actually, the stakes are higher if God has not even shown you what you're trading it for. So God has not told you, give away this car because there is another person that is coming to give you a better car. That is not what God has told you. God has just said, give away the car. There are no further instructions. There are no promises attached to it. You don't even know if there is a reward attached to it. That is all the instruction that there is. Now, if you are going to be giving out the car, the reality is you won't be happy. You won't have genuine joy in your heart. You will just be doing it. You know that one for Luke 5:5, where the Bible says, because you said so, I will. Where Jesus was talking to the disciples, to Peter and the other disciples, telling them, I want you to go back into the waters and, just fish for fish. Cast your net into the waters and catch some fish. And the disciples were, well, the reality is we are experts in this field. Literally, we have been doing this like a long time. This is how we make a living. And that's not all. We've been here all night. We've been fishing all night. And if you know anything about fishing works well at night where, and then they'll take this one light and then it will gather all these fish. And the disciples are just thinking to themselves, does this guy realize that we are experts? Like, we are literally fishermen. And we have been at it all night and we have caught nothing. So, what is it about him that makes him think that he can come to tell us how to do our business? And I can just imagine them in their heads thinking like that, or at least imagining myself thinking like that. I'm like, what do you mean you have an opinion about an area that I am an expert in? I don't get it. Unless you are mastered in that area, you actually are a PhD holder. Explain to me why you think you can just like come and reorder my business. I would think that is the attitude that I'd have. But then this is what Luke 5:5 says. The disciples, Peter and the rest, they just decided, because you say so, I will. And that is among my most favorite verses in the Bible. That because it is Jesus saying it, because it is my Lord that is saying it, I really don't get it. And if you were to ask me, which I know God is not asking, but if you were to ask me, I would want a very detailed explanation of why you are asking me to do this one thing. But then God is not asking me, and God does not owe me any explanation, by the way. He may decide to at least let me in on some details, but He may choose not to. At the end of the day, He is the master. All my responsibility is to trust that His heart is love. And so when He gives certain instructions, I would hope that I will respond like the disciples. I don't understand why you're saying this. I have labored at this before. I have tried it before. It didn't work. But because you said so, I will. And so this example about the car. If you are going now to give away the car, and this is the posture of your heart, I really don't get why you have not given me any explanation. There are no promises. I actually have a small baby maybe, and I don't know. I have to go to work very early in the morning, and I don't have money. I like all the logistics. I don't have an answer for all the questions in my head, Lord. But because you are my master, and because you said so, I will. And so as you are giving away the car, you are not genuinely in your heart, you are not jubilant, you are not excited about that move. You are only doing it because of obedience to your master. And most people would not even get to the part of doing it because they are obedient. Most people are not even obedient enough to just do it because it was said by a master. Most people don't even recognize or acknowledge God as their master. So really, let's just put it out there. So in the way that you are obeying to do this, then your only strength in this moment should be number one: I heard from the Lord. This is not a mistake. It was my Father, it was my Master that has ordered me to do this. So yes, if I heard it well, then I am doing it out of obedience. But then the second thing is to know that if whatever I am doing is in obedience to God, then it means this action pleases Him. It means He will derive joy from this action. Therefore, I have my strength. Therefore, I have my strength. And right this instant, I'm thinking about Abraham and how he had to sacrifice Isaac. And God knew. I mean, Isaac is not even like a car. Isaac is a promise you've waited for like 25 years. Isaac is a promise you get in your old age where you are too old to function, so to speak. Isaac is the promise that is supposed to unravel so many generational blessings. Isaac is something you have trusted God for. Isaac is a conversation that God began, and He made that a covenant with you. And He says He's going to bless you and your entire generation. And that very Isaac is the Isaac that God is asking for. So I imagine if God would do such a thing in our current generation, I wonder how many of us would just be like, you know what? This does not make sense. This actually feels like witchcraft itself. But Lord, because I know your voice and because I am sure it is you that has said this, I am going to proceed, and I will not be cheerful, but I will derive my joy from you, from pleasing you. How amazing that must be. Because again, when the Bible says, without faith you cannot please God, do you see what I mean? Faith is believing that God is giving an instruction in love. He is ordering your steps. So any of the orders He's giving you, they are of love and they will align you perfectly to the place that you need to be. So faith is trusting God's heart for you, right? Faith is trusting that this decision that I am making, I am not losing my mind. It is of God. Now, if you're having that faith, then the Bible says you will please God. Now, if you please God, then God is joyful. And when the joy of the Lord, when your master has joy, that is how you have strength. Do you see what I mean? When I tell you my mind was blown, my mind was blown. The joy of the Lord is my strength. This does not mean that every morning God is going to be giving me joy. There's the part for that. But literally, to understand this verse to mean that as long as I am pleasing my Father, as long as I am pursuing joy for my master, that I am looking at everything I do, I am doing it as unto the Lord because I want my master to be happy. As long as that is the posture of my heart, then I have strength and I will always be joyful. So, yes, I am joyful. Yes, I am joyful because I am joy and I look like my name. But I am also joyful because I have now understood that all I need to do is please my master. This thing for good, well done, good and faithful servant, it is something all Christians are hoping to hear, or at least I'd hope they'd want to hear. But that's something you achieve once you have just pleased the Father. I think of when God said to Jesus, "This is my son in whom I am well pleased." And I think of the timing of that moment. It was after the baptism, right? And in that baptism, Jesus had humbled himself to be baptized by a man. Him that is the baptism, the resurrection, the life. Him that baptizes with fire. that God, that Jesus, decided, imagine you can baptize me with this water that you have used on everyone else. Think about that. It's as if God was like, oh, this brings me so much joy that you are humble enough to, oh, this brings me joy. I am well pleased in you. And that was strength enough, because the next phase, Jesus really did need the joy of the Lord to be his strength, because he went into the wilderness and he got tempted. So think about it. It is such a revelation to know that the joy of the Lord can sustain me, that the joy of the Lord is all I need. I don't need to generate my own joy. I don't need to generate my own happiness. Happiness is good. It's good to smile. It's good to have a good time and enjoy life. It's good to go to parties and hang out with friends and just have a good time. Those things are good. Of course, the kingdom kind. Those things are good. But even in all that, you cannot keep relying on yourself to generate your own happiness. It won't be enough. Life is too brutal for you to rely on your self-generated joy. Life is too unfair for you to rely on your self-generated happiness. There has to be more. And if indeed you are saying that you are a Christian and you are choosing the path of Christ, then by all means, you need to pursue the joy of the Lord, the joy of your master. The joy of my master is my strength. I will pursue the things that make my master proud, the things that make him smile, the things that I know he wants done. Those are the things I will do. I will serve him. I will show up for him. I'll help people. The things that put a smile on his face, because when God is smiling, then I have my strength. Yeah. So I don't know about you, but as for me, it really opened up my reality to so much that even when I am feeling so low, very, very low, I'm feeling like I don't want to do anything. Even in those moments, I can just think of something that would make my father proud and joyful. Then do that thing. Then I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. So I pray that the joy of the Lord indeed will be your strength. I pray that you are getting strength from knowing that I am doing something that makes my father smile. I am doing something that my master is pleased with. So even in your season, whether you are in a very high season or a very low season, whatever your season may be, or even the in-between season, which can also be very difficult, whatever the season you are in, I implore you, may the joy of your master be your strength. Try as much as you can to make your master proud and pleased. Yes? Yeah. So that's it from me today. I am excited that you joined me. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and indulging me. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Share this with someone you love. Let them know we are back. Tell them that the joy of the Lord is their strength. They can choose joy, literally, even. Thank you so much for tuning in. May the Lord bless you and watch over you. Bye.